I'm surprised that y'all talked 2 weeks before. This, to me, I'm like, okay, there must have been some tension leading up to it. Like, y'all must have been on bad terms, something. One last question. If he were to call you up and say, yo, let's work it out, would you do it?
I don't want to talk to that nigga.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't want to talk to that nigga, like, you know.
Yo, what's good, family? Your boy is back with another video. Today, we're diving deep into some Louisiana street politics that are going to absolutely blow your mind. For real, you all remember when NBA YoungBoy released that track titled Nussie, and the entire state of Louisiana lost it? Well, let me break the situation down for you. This isn't just about a catchy song. This is about decades of friction, murder trials, and two icons from the same city who went from being like family to bitter rivals in a flash. See, when YB mentioned Nussie on that record, he wasn't just name-dropping for fun. He was ripping open deep scars that Boosie thought were buried for good. We're talking about a homicide case that nearly put Boosie on death row. A street legend who was brutally taken out, and how the streets of Baton Rouge have been fractured ever since. This is the kind of drama that changes the whole game. Gang, to truly grasp how we reached this point, we have to take it back to the very beginning. NBA YoungBoy and Boosie both represent Baton Rouge, Louisiana, but their history is way more tangled than people realize. Look, Baton Rouge isn't a massive place. We're talking maybe 220,000 people. So when you have two global superstars coming out of the same backyard, their paths are eventually going to cross. Boosie has been the king of BR since the early 2000s. This man was already a living legend, while YoungBoy was just a kid running around the neighborhood. We're talking about Lil Boosie coming up with C-Loc and dropping classics while YB was probably still in elementary school. But here's the thing about Baton Rouge. It's segregated by sides. You have North BR and South BR, and different sections that don't always see eye to eye. Boosie is from the south side specifically, the bottom area, while YoungBoy hails from the north. That geographical gap might look small on a map, but in street politics, that difference carries massive weight. When YoungBoy first started gaining momentum around 2015 and 2016, Boosie was already a pillar of the community. At the start, there was real mutual respect. Boosie recognized the kid had major talent, and YoungBoy knew he had to pay homage to the OGs who built the foundation. They weren't at odds at first. In fact, they were actually cool as hell. Now, this is where things get wild, fam. The first cracks in their bond weren't even about a direct fight. It came down to respect and protocol. YoungBoy was skyrocketing faster than anyone probably anticipated. His YouTube stats were through the roof, his street cred was solid, and the major labels were knocking on his door. But with that rapid success came an attitude, and certain people felt he wasn't showing the proper love to the legends who came before him. Boosie started feeling a certain type of way when YB wasn't clearing tracks or showing that Louisiana brotherhood like he expected. In one of his interviews, Boosie broke down exactly what was happening.
When YoungBoy first started, I jumped on they shit and cleared all they shit for him, you know? All they artists, you know? I fuck with Freedom, you know? But, you know, I don't know what the fuck happened with Top, bro. I don't know what happened.
What Boosie was referring to was how he used to clear samples and go out of his way to help other Louisiana artists get their music heard. But when it came to YoungBoy, the energy shifted. Maybe it was the label politics, or maybe it was personal, but that reciprocal energy just wasn't there anymore. That's when the subliminal shots started flying. Boosie felt slighted, and when you disrespect a Louisiana legend, there are going to be consequences. The streets began picking sides. You were either Team Boosie or Team YB, and that rift has been pulling BR apart ever since. During the peak of their tension, Boosie wasn't biting his tongue. He was making it known that YB was out of pocket and lacked respect. Boosie felt he had put in the work for Louisiana hip-hop, opened the doors for the youth, and Y was moving ungrateful. The beef reached a new level when they started making direct references to each other in their tracks. YoungBoy would drop lyrics that the public interpreted as stabs at Boosie, and Boosie would fire back with his own hidden messages. The fans were entertained, but the streets were becoming divided. Boosie's stance was basically that YB needed to check his ego and respect the path the OGs paved. He felt the young guy was moving too reckless and needed to be reined in. But then, something happened that shocked everyone. These two actually paused their beef for a moment. We're talking about a legendary phone call that featured Kevin Gates, Fredo Bang Boosie, and NBA YoungBoy, all on the same line. This wasn't just small talk. This was Louisiana royalty coming together to kill the drama. Boosie touched on this in his sit-down with real emotion. This call took place right after Boosie took his plea deal for his federal case, and he was under immense pressure. Family drama, legal hurdles, the fear of going back to prison, the whole weight of the world. That call meant everything to him during one of his darkest hours. For a hot minute, it looked like Louisiana was about to be unified again. Boosie was even talking about doing a whole project with Young. The fans were hyped, the streets were relieved, and it seemed like the hatchet was buried for good. Gates likely played a major role in organizing that call. He's always been the mediator in Louisiana, trying to keep the circle tight. Frito Bang was there too. He's Boosie's cousin, so he had a personal reason to see the war end. Now, here is some real tea that doesn't get enough attention. Boosie's son, Tutti Ra, is actually one of NBA YoungBoy's biggest fans. No cap. This young kid stays bumping YB's music heavy, and that probably influenced Boosie's decision to end the beef. Imagine being Boosie, and your own son is telling you, "Pops, why are you beefing with my favorite rapper?" That hits differently when it involves family. Tutti Ra was likely in his father's ear about making peace, and Boosie, being a good dad, actually listened. Tutti represents a new generation of fans who don't want to see their icons at war. These kids just want good music and a united front. Having his own son be a Y fan probably made Boosie realize the beef was bigger than just his personal feelings. It was hurting the culture. Let me keep it 100 with you all. Boosie knows it's not wise to go to full-scale war with NBA YoungBoy. And it's not about being scared, it's about being smart. CYB has a very specific type of energy. This young man stays on that timing, and the streets are well aware of it. YoungBoy's reputation in the community is different. We're talking about someone who has truly lived through it: shootouts, arrests, and losing close friends. His music reflects that dark reality, and the streets respect that authenticity. When Y speaks on violence, it's not just for the cameras. It's his life. Boosie has survived enough legal wars to know that beefing with someone on that kind of timing isn't worth it. He just beat a murder case, survived federal heat, and built a legitimate empire. Why risk all of that for a rap feud? Plus, YB is younger, hungrier, and feels like he has less to lose. Boosie has children, multiple businesses, and a massive legacy to guard. Sometimes the boss move is to play the back, and that's exactly what Boosie has been doing. The age gap also matters. Boosie is in his 40s now, moving with wisdom and perspective. YB is still in his early 20s, with that high-octane, reckless energy. Boosie probably sees a younger version of himself in YB, and doesn't want to see the kid throw his life away over something petty. But don't get it twisted, Boosie isn't a punk. He just knows how to pick his battles. And going to war with YB isn't a fight worth having, especially when they're from the same city and could be building a dynasty together. Just when everything seemed resolved, NBA YoungBoy dropped a bomb that nobody saw coming. He released a track titled Nussie, and when I tell you the streets went crazy, I mean it was absolute chaos. Now, for those who don't know the history, Nussie was a street legend from Baton Rouge who was murdered back in 2009. But here's the catch. Boosie was the one charged with ordering that hit. We are talking about the exact murder case that nearly saw Boosie executed, and YB just casually released a song using that man's name as the title? The timing was suspicious as hell. Only weeks after that peace treaty phone call, YB drops a record guaranteed to trigger Boosie. Either YB didn't think it through, or he was intentionally trying to set the city on fire. Christopher Jackson, known as Nussie or Mr. Badass, was one of the most feared and respected figures in Baton Rouge. During the 2000s, he wasn't just some random name. He was a legitimate icon. Nussie was originally from Easy Town but repped South BR heavy. He was moving major weight in the streets, had his own squad, and was even trying to make a real run in the rap industry. He owned his own spot, Club 225, and was really moving like a boss. In one of his final interviews, Nussie spoke on his reputation, but Nussie also had a reputation for being completely ruthless. He wasn't just a dealer. He was known for robbing other players, even those in his inner circle. There are stories about him robbing his own father's connection, taking kilos, and vanishing into the night. Because of this, Nussie had beef with several factions in Baton Rouge, including some tied to Boosie's camp. There was high tension over territory, cash, and respect, the usual street politics that end in blood. On February 9, 2009, everything changed forever. Nussie was gunned down at his residence on America's Street. The hit was brutal, multiple shots to the head, execution style. The streets started whispering immediately, and Boosie's name was the main one coming up as the person who greenlit the hit. The feds built their entire case around a teenage shooter named Michael Marlowe Mike Louding. This kid was allegedly Boosie's muscle, and they claimed he carried out several hits on Boosie's orders, including the Nussie murder. The prosecution alleged Boosie put a $30,000 bounty on Nussie's head due to their ongoing friction. They tried to paint Boosie as a kingpin who used young kids to do his dirty work. The case was so heavy that Boosie was literally facing the death penalty. Marlowe Mike initially worked with the feds and was prepared to testify against Boosie. He even had a tattoo on his stomach that said Boosie with "Who's Next" underneath it. The state thought they had a guaranteed win, but this is where the plot twists. Marlowe Mike eventually took back everything he said. During the trial, he got on the stand and claimed he lied about Boosie ordering the hits. The prosecution's case collapsed, and Boosie was acquitted of the murder charges. However, the damage was permanent. The streets already had their own conclusions, and Nussie's name became forever tied to Boosie's legal history. Even though Boosie was found not guilty, people still whispered about the truth behind that night. The link between Boosie and Nussie's death was solidified through Marlo Mike's original statements. According to the state, Boosie was running a criminal organization and using young shooters to wipe out his competition. They claimed Nussie was a target because of territorial disputes and street pride. The feds said they had phone logs, witness statements, and evidence connecting Boosie to the crime. They portrayed him as the puppet master behind the execution. But when trial time came, their star witness changed his story completely. He claimed he lied to the feds just to get a better deal for himself, and that Boosie had zero involvement. Without that testimony, the case fell apart. Still, Boosie's reputation took a hit. Even with a not guilty verdict, the public still associated him with Nussie's passing. That's exactly why YB making a song called Nussie was such a massive blow. It dragged all those dark memories back to the surface. Boosie's response was one of pure hurt and betrayal. When Boosie heard about the song, you could tell he was heated. In his interview, he made his stance clear regarding people disrespecting the dead. But Boosie also showed a surprising amount of discipline. He could have gone completely nuclear on YB and dropped a lethal diss track, but he took the high road instead. When asked if he'd still take a call from YB, Boosie made it clear he was done. You could actually hear the pain in Boosie's voice. This wasn't just about rap, it was personal. YB had crossed a line by invoking Nussie, and Boosie felt stabbed in the back because they had just made peace. The hurt was genuine because Boosie really thought they had moved past the drama. He was ready to collaborate and bring Louisiana together, and then YB went and poked the most sensitive wound possible. That Nussie track changed the dynamic between these two legends forever. All the talk about joint music, dead. The dream of a united Baton Rouge, gone. Y reopened a wound that Boosie had spent years trying to heal, and there was no turning back after that. This whole saga shows you just how messy street politics can get, especially between icons from the same soil. Boosie and NBA YoungBoy should be side by side, elevating Louisiana and showing the world what BR is capable of. Instead, they are trapped in a cycle of old ghosts and hurt feelings. But here's the real truth. This beef probably isn't over. YB is young and clearly doesn't care about the fallout. Boosie is a legend who won't allow anyone to step on his name, even if he's trying to stay out of the way. Something tells me we are going to see more chapters in this saga before it's all over. At the end of the day, both of these men are Louisiana royalty, and the state is definitely big enough for both of them to win. But pride, ego, and street ties have them at each other's throats when they should be celebrating their success. You all let me know in the comments what you think about this entire situation. Was YB wrong for dropping that Nussie track? Should Boosie have handled it differently? And do you think these two will ever be on good terms again? Drop your thoughts below, and make sure you subscribe for more real street politics breakdowns. Your boy is going to keep bringing you the truth, no matter how uncomfortable it gets. Peace.